let's turn our attention to defense a little bit because in California, well, you mentioned the fact that it hasn't been easy lately for Monahan, and you mentioned since the Boston game in particular, hasn't been easy for Jonathan Kovacevic either. Even though
No.
he scored 3 goals in 4 games, it's not necessarily for his offensive prowess that he's put on the ice. He played. I was surprised to see how little he played against the Sharks. It was barely 11 minutes. He played
He was
17
awful.
minutes. Yeah, well, he played 17 minutes after that against the Kings and was once again in the minus. He was a good old -3. I mean, he had that horrible turnover that led to, I think it was Moore. Was it Moore or Lewis?
No, it was
Trevor Lewis.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, he got the puck stolen by Anderson Dolan, and it led to Trevor Lewis's goal. That was the third goal. So he's been playing less. Gustav Lindstrom, well, that's something that surprises me a lot. He's been playing over 20 minutes the last 2 games.
Well, because Kovacevic was so bad. At some point, Kovacevic was so bad on that second pair the other night in San Jose, I guess it was. No, in Anaheim. That Marty had no choice. Lindstrom finished that game on Gouli's pairing, and then I think Marty felt he had no choice but to, this kind of is what it is sort of thing. I kind of see the defense as being, like Lindstrom on that opening goal the Kings scored, where Dubois was given, Jake Evans is busting his ass trying to pressure Dubois through the neutral zone, and Lindstrom's just backing up, saying, come on in. Eventually, Dubois kind of sheds Evans and gets it over to Grundstrom, who rockets it into the net. I mean, one of the nicer shots I've seen in a while. But the gap that Lindstrom had there, so you look at that and you're like, Gustav Lindstrom, like, what are you doing? And then you realize you're like, okay, I'm talking to Gustav Lindstrom, I mean, like, there's limits to what the guy's going to do, and that's you have to live with stuff like that. It's just the reality of the defense with 3 guys out, David Savard, Jordan Harris, Arbor Jacki. They all have their faults, but they're NHL defensemen on this NHL team, and Gustav Lindstrom is not. And I think Jonathan Kovacevic in a more sheltered environment is, but right now he's not. And so they gotta make do with what they got.
Do you wish they played Struble more?
Because I think Struble's been good, but again,
it's been sparing.
I know it's been sparingly, but this is my thing, is that I thought, and I think this is something that we on the outside don't realize as much. I was clamoring, or I thought Jesse Ylonen had deserved to move up the lineup instead of getting benched in the third period, which is what's been happening in close games. So I believe it was in Boston when Marty did that. What was the game where he changed all his lines? It was Boston, right? Yes, it was.
Yeah.
So Jesse Ylonen gets a top 6 spot in Boston, and him along with the rest of the team, they can't handle it. It didn't work out. So I still think Jesse Ylonen deserves more minutes, and he would be the guy I would put, with Monahan and Anderson, let's say. See and move Pearson down. That's the one tweak I think I would make to that lineup. But when I think of that, I always think, like, when you're watching a player, try to realize how much the role of his role in how he's playing. The role of how many minutes he has in the way he's playing. So, like, when you look at Struble and he plays like 12 really good minutes, like, oh, you should play that guy more. Oh, look at Kovacevic. Like, as soon as Kovacevic started getting more minutes, so the holes in his game started to appear. And so it's not always as simple as, play the guy who's playing really well but not getting enough minutes. Just give him more minutes. I don't think it's always that simple.
Well, more minutes means tougher competition. It's like
it's just more opportunities to make mistakes. I mean, it's really, and then so I think the way they're using Struble is fine. I don't think they should. Mm-hmm. I think it's all good. He's getting enough minutes. He's getting in situations. He's playing really well. So why mess with that?
Well, probably that when the team comes back home and they've got the last change, they might be able to adjust and maybe give him a few more minutes if he continues like that against Columbus. But when you don't have the last change, you don't want to expose a kid against like top line competition
Hmm.
when you can avoid it. So
Yeah.
there's might be something there, but for now, the end result is that they're really top heavy on their top four. So Matheson, Gouldy, and Barron mainly are the three guys that are taking the load. And once again, I think that Barron's doing pretty good. I
I
won't
think
repeat
Barron's
all I
doing
said
great.
in the last.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Barron's
he's
really
not.
continuing to do very well.